Well, it's not exactly Friday night, but we're going to talk a little bit about an upcoming event that are upcoming events that are taking place at CGC right now, which are the signing events. They've got a bunch of them that are currently taking place. One in particular is going to be Roy Thomas. Now, I think with the passing of Stan Lee, Roy Thomas is probably as close to that prestigious of a signature as you're going to get. There's Neil Adams, who's by far and away one of my favorite artists of all time. I put him right up there with John Byrne, Bob Layton, Frank Miller, Brent Anderson I really like, Alex Ross, so many fantastic artists that work in the industry. But I went through my collection looking for some additional books to have Roy Thomas sign. I already had him sign Submariner #1 and Iron Man and Submariner #1. Both of those were at a 9.0, and just love having a signature on them. So going through my collection, I found some books that I think are going to come back fairly high. I happen to have a copy of Avengers #48. A lot of you out there will recognize this book, and right now it's gaining a lot of notice. There's a lot of people looking for higher end grade or even mid-grade copies of these. So that's one of them. I actually have two. Now, the one I just showed you, I'm fairly certain is going to come back probably about a 5.5 to a 6.5, but that's after cleaning and pressing. The next one I'm going to show you is a book that can definitely benefit from a pressing, but with a really good pressing and some pre-cleaning before I send it in, I think this one has a really good chance of hitting a 9.2 to maybe a 9.4, because any defects that I can see on this book can be cleaned out with a pressing. You can see it's really nice. This is one of those books that I bought when I was a much younger man. I went to a convention. Always loved this cover. And for some reason I like the character of the Black Knight. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I played so much Dungeons and Dragons growing up. But I always thought it was really cool. Now the third book that I'm going to send in is a Silver Age X-Men book, which is X-Men #28. Now, as you can see, this is a PGX graded book at a 6.0. I had gotten this graded back in 2005. It's pretty nice. I'm going to crack this out. I'll probably see if there's any cleaning I can do to the book before it gets pressed. But yeah, so those three books are going to go in for signing from Roy Thomas. With so many books that he's done, so many stories that he's written, it's really tough to find out which ones you would want to send in. I mean, they have to hold some level of importance to you, because for the price that you're paying, it's either going to be a long-term investment or it's going to be a book that has a lot of personal interest to you. Okay, so the next signature event that they're doing is Jim Lee. And Jim Lee's a tough one for me because I love his art, but he's all over the place. I mean, he's done so many different books. He's involved in so many different characters, and he's such an iconic artist from the 90s. But he's so much more than that, too. I mean, anybody who's followed his career knows that he's really, like Todd McFarlane, he's a multifaceted individual who's never really worn just one hat. So the first book that we're going to be sending is going to be X-Men 268. This is the only copy of this book that I happen to own, and it was a recent acquisition. I picked it up within the last 5 years. And then the other book that I'm going to be sending in is a 9.8 reject, which is X-Men #4, the first appearance of Omega Red. I wanted to send in a few more books, but Jim Lee's signature is fairly expensive to get. So for me, it had to be two books that I felt really were justified, because it's $110 to get him to sign a book, which is right now, I think, the most I've ever paid for a signature. So just to get these 2 books sent in, get them pressed, grading with the custom labels, it's going to cost around $310 by the time these 2 books come back. So it's an investment, and that's something that we all struggle with, is, you know, the investment of the hobby, or, I don't know, for some of us it's more than that. Okay, the next one, I really wasn't sure earlier this year when I picked up this book, because it's for a brand new book that was just released, I want to say in February of this year. And I have kind of mixed feelings on this series. It was only a 5-issue limited series, and I had never heard of the writer or the artist before. And when I picked up the first issue, I picked up a couple of copies, and actually I thought it was meh. I thought it was a really good premise for a story, but I thought it was written... It was like a 3-minute read. Cover to cover, 3 minutes, done. And it was interesting. But it was so thin on the writing that I didn't think that I would pick it up again. And then a couple of months went by, 2nd issue came out, and I read that. And I thought, you know, this book actually, it's getting a lot of hype, and I wasn't sure exactly why, but I decided, okay, I'm gonna spec on this book a little bit, because I occasionally do that with newer books. So I did. So these 3 books are going to be sent in for dual signatures from... Okay, so this is Stray Dogs. So this is Stray Dogs number 1. This is, I believe, the standard cover, first printing. This is the Silence of the Lamb homage, which I really like. I like the horror movie homages that they're doing. I think they're done really, really well. They're very, very creative. And then the last one is a number 1 that is a 4th printing. Now this happens to be an homage to my favorite horror film of all time, John Carpenter's The Thing. So when I saw this cover, I was like, okay, I was only going to send in 2, but I picked this up at my local comic book store in Sacramento. I actually got this copy. This is the only one they had left from World's Best Comics. Anybody from Sacramento knows World's Best. Dave, who owns it, has been a comic shop owner for decades actually. So I'm going to be sending these in. So it's Tony Felice and Trish Forstner, to get their signatures on these books. And the main reason why I'm doing it is because I think that this isn't just a comic, that this is going to be a massive property. I think you're going to see something on Netflix, you're going to see an animated series, you're going to see this carry forward. I don't think you're going to see a return to these characters. I mean, they're all they're all dogs, but I think this is something that they laid a foundation for future properties with this IP, and I think that it was done very intelligently. Do I think it's an award-winning written book? No, I don't. Right? This is definitely not going to threaten Neil Gaiman. It's okay. You know, it's an okay story. I really wish it had gone beyond 5 issues, because I think 5 issues was just not enough. I think if you were to look at it as a season of a TV show, I wanted 8 episodes. So in other words, I would have liked to have seen this stretched out to at least 8, between 8 and 10 maybe. Even if it was just 8, I think it would have gone a long way. The interesting thing that's happened with this book to me is the number of printings. They're releasing the 4th printing of the first issue, and it's supposed to be, I believe, the final printing. I'm sorry, the 5th printing. So these books have just picked up and picked up and picked up and picked up. So we'll see where it goes. So a great thing about this, for those of you that do send in books for Signature Series events, is all of these can be shipped together. So they're all going to go in one box, and as they get opened, they'll get separated, but they'll get received right away. They'll go to the pressing right away. You'll get charged for the pressing long before the signing event. So when the signing event does happen, you won't, that $20, $40, $60, whatever you're going to pay, will already be deducted from the total amount due. So that's nice. Now, the signing for Stray Dogs is not, I think, until the end of September. So I won't see these probably until late October when they come back. And then we'll see where we are, where the market is in September. Who knows? The Jim Lee stuff, that's happening much quicker. And then the Roy Thomas is within the next couple of months as well. So I definitely think that the Signature Series events that they're doing at CGC make a lot of sense. They definitely did during COVID. And I think that they still do. I think it's a good program. The artists go directly to their on-site area. You know, it's a controlled environment. They go in, they sign all the books at their own pace. And honestly, a lot of the artists like Roy Thomas. You know, the guy's been in the industry for so long that I don't mind paying the money to have him sign the books, because in a lot of ways, he was working in the industry before these guys were making realistically decent money. Guys like Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, and so many more, when they got into the comic book industry, it was massively growing. Another artist that I think has been extremely influential, especially in the late 80s and 90s, two artists actually, is Ron Lim and Kelly Jones. I would really love for those guys to do a signing event. Ron Lim is local in Sacramento region, Northern California, so you can run into him at any con and he'll sign your books. Super nice guy. Kelly Jones, I don't think I've ever met. But, you know, they fly these guys in, they do their signing, sometimes they do their sketches on the covers, which I don't really do, but I like just having them signed. But anyway, yeah, so leave some comments down below. Let me know if you're looking forward to these signature events. If you're looking to some, you know, like, it'd be nice if they came out with some different labels. It's really, I think, just been Walking Dead and Marvel at this point. I don't think I've seen a single DC label. And then some of the older ones that they've retired, I think, were much nicer than some of the ones they have now. But I would definitely like to see them kind of branch out with the labels. I know the IP is probably expensive for them to utilize, and that's why it's $5 per label. But hopefully at some point we'll see some new ones. But anyway, love this cover. Absolutely love this movie. So I was super stoked when I saw this, because I've never seen an homage to John Carpenter's The Thing done for a comic book before. There's probably one out there. I just didn't see it. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. It's Saturday. It's supposed to be 112 degrees today in Sacramento, so definitely stay inside if you're local. Well, hopefully you are by the time you see this video. Coffee and comics. Take care.